we're
Ms.
recording
Moore?
it? Okay, here.
Mr. McHale is absent. Mr. Pollock?
Here.
Sheridan?
Here.
Mr. Wright?
Here.
Mr. Lopez is late to come.
Okay, thank you. First item, before we start our meeting, if everyone check your cell phones and make sure that they're turned off. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the September 23rd, 2014 meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Sheridan, Mr. Pollock. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is public comment. This is time for anyone wishing to speak to the board for any item that's not on our agenda tonight. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. We have no public meeting item. The next item is public hearing, and that's ordinance number 1599, comp plan amendment for Foster Grove. May we hear from the applicant? If you would state your name and address for the record.
My name is David Axel with Axel Real Estate, 1757 Florida. I do represent the underlying property owners and have been working with the applicant. Was one small sliver parcel at the south Lot B of the old Foster subdivision that had been excluded primarily because there had been exploitation. That's in the city. We've discovered that Allendale parcels that the city council is going to consider annexation.
On October 20th is the public hearing.
Okay, October 20th. So there is a parcel at the absolute northeast end of the overall assemblage that is 5 acres. The northern portion of which is wetlands and abuts wetlands. There is just to the west of that a 2-acre parcel, which is a portion of some properties that a gentleman owns that has 2 houses on it. All of it that is to the east of those residences. North end, again, pretty much abutted by wetlands. Property with one home way at portion that has some isolated uplands toward the southwest portion set up on some of this. Another piece at the north end, north of the east-west leg of the legal access, but today no physical access. And small portions to the south that you will see on the continent. Some parcels that are being brought into the city to square off the city limit. Problem that occurred at the absolute south boundary of the Allendale subdivision was actually physically constructed and installed roughly 16 feet away from Foster subdivision. So some arrangements had to be made to satisfy those. That comprehensive plan amendment to the south is to facilitate Andrew Road. So certainly questions, just to finish up. Which technically allows 4 units an acre. The city
Thank you. Are there any questions of the applicant? Thank you. May we hear from staff?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to go through the history of the project first, and then Tara's going to do the presentation. I have provided, Patty provided for you maps. It says location maps on them, and some of them have the ordinances on them. So I want to go through those maps with you. And this project has gone through a series of stages to get to where it is today. And there are several parcels that make up what we consider Foster Grove. And there's been several ordinances either annexing, doing a comprehensive plan amendment, or a change of zoning on these parcels in one way or the other. So I'm going to go through the series of steps that the project has gone through. So the first map that you have is going to be the location map for Ordinance 1554, and it adopted, it was the annexation of the parcel. It was approximately 18.91 acres, and it was adopted on December 31st, 2012. And you'll see those parcels, they are hatched, and it says site location. That was the first in the series of steps that the project has gone through to get to where it is today, and that was the annexation, which was Annexation Ordinance 1554. The next map that you have is a map associated with Ordinance number 1562, and it annexed approximately 7.21 acres. And you'll see the property, the first property is just south of one of the hatched areas, just on the east side of Lee Avenue, east and west side of Lee Avenue. You'll see those parcels there. It's approximately 7.21 acres. And that annexation took place, it was adopted on March 18th, 2013, which was last year. The next map that you have is going to be the Comprehensive Plan Amendment map, which was Ordinance 1564. And those parcels, which included the first two maps that I showed you, it's included on the Comprehensive Plan Amendment map. And that is, that was the adoption from Seminole County Low-Density Residential to the City of Oviedo Low-Density Residential. That was adopted on October 21st, 2013. The next map is going to be Ordinance 1565, which was the zoning for the same parcels. And that went from Seminole County Agriculture to the City of Oviedo R1. And that particular ordinance was pretty controversial for the PZA. The PZA recommended the R1A zoning district. It went to City Council. City Council adopted the R1 zoning district, but in the ordinance adopting it, there was a clause in the effective date that required a preliminary subdivision plan be submitted by May 31st, 2014, or the zoning would go to R1A. The applicant on February 19th of this year sent a letter to our department requesting that that date be extended to May 31st, 2015. City Council later adopted Ordinance 1589, extending the deadline of the submittal of the preliminary subdivision plan to May 31st, 2015. You also have before you the next map, which is the remaining parcels that the applicant is wishing to annex today. And the PZA does not consider annexation petitions. You all consider the comprehensive plan and zoning map amendments. Annexation petitions go straight to City Council from the Development Review Committee. So you'll see those parcels that they're proposing to annex in the location map, and they are also proposing to do a land use amendment on those same parcels in addition to a couple of other parcels. So Tara will go through those different parcels with you. The last map that you have, which is this Foster Grove site map, just shows you the entire property the total property and where the subdivision will be. The number of units that they're trying to place on the property is approximately 93. It's a 93-lot subdivision. So you'll see the blue area, which is the area where they're proposing to do a zoning map amendment on this map. And then the green area that's highlighted, that's the areas where they're proposing to only do a comprehensive plan amendment. So you'll see that there's a couple of parcels, one which is south of Woodcrest, that they are not proposing to do a comprehensive plan amendment on because the future land use is already low-density residential. You will also see a property which is south of Allendale on the west side of Lee Avenue that there's only a zoning map amendment because the parcel already has the city's low-density residential future land use designation on it. So only the parcels with the green, they're proposing a comprehensive plan amendment on, and the parcels with the blue would be the zoning map amendment parcels. And the remainder of it, the hatched area, already is designated with, already annexed, designated with the low-density future land use designation and the R1 zoning district. In the proposed zoning ordinance that you have before you tonight, the same language that was adopted in the prior ordinance 1565, where a preliminary subdivision plan is required to be submitted, is also in the ordinance, the change of zoning ordinance that's before you tonight. I'm going to let Tara, Ms. Bradley, take over so she can do the presentation of the comprehensive plan amendment.
Kim.
Good evening. Thank you. I would ask that I would be able to present both of the ordinance 1599 and 1600 at the same time, if that's okay with the board.
That's fine.
I will start off with ordinance number 1599, the comprehensive plan amendment. This is a request to amend the city's official future land use map to change the future land designation of approximately 8.289. And previously on your report, you had 9.25. That's incorrect. The correct number for the acres that are being proposed in the comprehensive plan are 8.289. These parcels are being proposed for city low-density residential. They were Seminole County low-density residential. The proposed parcels are an addition to the proposed Foster Grove development. The property consists of 2 parcels and 3 portions of parcels with a total area of 8.2989, located 100 feet north of Geneva Drive and on the east and west side of Lee Avenue. The purpose of the comprehensive plan amendment is to designate the 8.28 8.289 acres of the subject property with a city low-density residential future land use. The applicant is MI Homes of Orlando, LLC, and the property owners are Kevin Canny, and others. Comprehensive Plan Policy 1-1.1.4 provides criteria to evaluate a comprehensive plan request. The result of this review is found in your staff report. The subject property is located in unincorporated Seminole County, contiguous to the city's boundary. The applicant has petitioned the city for an annexation into the corporate boundary of the city. The purpose of the amendment is to designate the subject properties with a city future land use designation. The applicant requests a future land use map amendment from Seminole County Low Density Residential LDR to City of Oviedo Low Density Residential LDR jurisdiction. The requested future land use map amendment merely functions as a change of jurisdiction. The subject property will be combined with other parcels to the west of Lee Avenue already designated with the city's low-density residential future land use designation to create a single-family residential subdivision. The current zoning district for the subject property is agricultural A-1, Seminole County. Concurrent with this FLU request, the applicant has filed an application for a zoning map amendment for the 8.289 acres from agricultural A-1, Seminole County zoning district, to city residential R-1, a residential district compatible with LDR, future land use designation. The proposed low-density residential LDR FLU designation is compatible with the adjacent FLU designation, zoning districts, and existing uses. The City Council will conduct a public hearing on ordinance number 1599 on October 20th, 2014. I would like to go ahead and read ordinance number 1600, zoning map amendment. This is a request to amend the city's official zoning map to change the zoning of approximately 9.707 acres from Seminole County Agricultural A-1 and City R-1A residential to City Residential R-1. The properties consist of 9.707 acres located approximately 100 feet north of Geneva Drive and on the east and west side of Lee Avenue. The applicant, again, is MI Homes of Orlando, and the property owners are Kevin Canny and others. The purpose of the zoning map amendment is to change the existing Seminole County Agricultural A-1 and City of Oviedo Residential R-1A zoning district to City Residential R-1 zoning district for 9.707 acres. The proposed 9.707 subject property will be added to a property already designated with the residential R-1 zoning district to develop a single-family residential subdivision for the proposed Foster Grove development. The proposed R-1 zoning is consistent with the proposed city low-density residential future land use designation, the surrounding zoning districts, and uses. The Development Review Committee considered the subject zoning map amendment at its meeting on September 25, 2014. The City Council will consider the subject zoning map amendment at its Monday, October 20, 2014 public meeting. It is recommended that the Planning, Zoning, and Appeals Board recommend the adoption of ordinance number 1599 and ordinance number 1600. That concludes my presentation. Staff is here for questions and comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions of staff?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Sheridan?
if this property has not been annexed into the city yet, are we putting the cart before the horse in voting on these tonight?
Mr. Sheridan, you are a recommending body. You're not taking action on
Not what I asked.
on the rezoning. You're just making a recommendation. City Council would...
If we don't have the property yet, what are we recommending, is my question.
You're recommending that the property should be placed within the city's comprehensive plan and zoning. It is common
If it is
for
annexed
us...
into the city.
Yes, and your recommendation is subject to it being annexed into the city. And it is common for us to bring forward to the Planning, Zoning, and Appeals Board comprehensive plan amendments and zoning map amendments prior to City Council taking action on an annexation. It's because you are a recommending body, you can do that.
Does that answer your question?
It's the answer I'm going to get, so we'll go there.
When is the annexation being considered by council?
On October 20th,
So it'll all happen the same night?
Yes, ma'am.
All three ordinances?
yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions of staff? Okay, seeing none, we'll open it up for public comment. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? We have a request from Joe Lycum. State your name and address for the record, please.
Joe Lycum, 818 Orangewood Drive, Garden Grove, Toledo, Florida. I have no objection to the overall proposed Foster Grove subdivision, but I have some concerns. I live at the intersection of Woodcrest and Orangewood. And if you look at the PSP plan, which I understand has not been approved, exception has been taken for the PSP plan. Woodcrest is improperly named on there, just to show there's some confusion. It's called Power Crest. But in any event, I noticed in looking at the PSP plan, there's no consideration of the drainage and the elevations in the existing Garden Grove subdivision. We have a problem today with stormwater in that area. Myself and my neighbors around me who are at the outflow of Woodcrest, because Woodcrest elevation is much higher, receive a lot of stormwater and backup from the rains. In fact, the entire neighborhood, if you drive through it, a few days after every rain, you'll see the seepage from underground. The elevation of the planned subdivision starts about 20 feet higher than my location on Orangewood, and it extends further down to toward Meadow is even lower. So there's an elevation discrepancy for this new subdivision, and my concern is once you start taking the trees out, paving over, bringing in backfill, where is all that water going to go? Are we going to have a worsened problem than our existing problem, which is our stormwater in Garden Grove is a problem. The other concern I have is with traffic and the entrances. There's one entrance listed here in the PSP. I've heard rumors that the entrance is going to also appear off of Florida Avenue, that somehow they're going to bring in either on Elm or some other circuit into that neighborhood. And I'm concerned about having Garden Grove connected up to this new subdivision and having it be a cut through. So my concerns are with the drainage, that there's sufficient investigation being done to make sure that the existing homeowners in the Garden Grove subdivision are not affected. Also with noise. I'm talking about traffic noise, not construction. I'm sure we're all expecting. But that there is not another entrance in the plan, either off of Florida Avenue or connecting through to the Garden Grove subdivision. With that, I have no other comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. What's the board's pleasure?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Wright?
motion to recommend approval of ordinance number 1599, comp plan amendment for Foster Grove.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Pollack, thank you. Is there any discussion? I have a question. Ms. Pierre, the issues that the last speaker was talking about, at what point would he be able to impress upon somebody the concerns that he has? He's talked about the PSP that's obviously not before this board.
Not
that
at
something
this
he
time.
would-
It is coming before the PZA. It has to go before DRC, PZA, and then City Council. Those issues will be addressed at the time of the preliminary subdivision plan.
And do we know when that might come before this board?
Oh, I think Dave Axel may have a better idea on the time frame. I know we're moving pretty fast with it. I'm not quite sure if we've settled on the exact dates. Do you remember?
Could you come to the microphone, please, for the record? Thank you.
Pleasure of the board, I can also address. We can put that on
Certainly.
Madam
Let's,
Chair?
if you would,
I'd prefer not to hear it until we get to that point.
if you would just tell us when the PSP would be considered for
We're
now.
working on, we've been working on PSP from staff. Our goal is to have the PSP resubmitted anytime. Working that to go forward, but I don't think it would be seen by this board for I think, PRC number 6.
Okay. If you want to address his concerns outside of
That's fine.
our
Absolutely.
meeting, that would be fine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote on ordinance number 1599. The motion before us is to recommend approval. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'm sorry, was that a nay? It was. Okay, so one nay. Okay, the next ordinance is number 1600, the zoning map amendment. And Mr. Axel, when you were presenting on ordinance number 1599, I'm not sure that you said all you wanted to say about the zoning, so if you want to come back before us at this point, you can.
All I will point out, you note that the acreage
Thank you. Are there any questions of the applicant? Thank you. Okay, what's the, we have to open
Public comment.
this one up for public comment. Is there anyone here wishing to speak to the board on the zoning? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. What's the board's pleasure?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Wright?
ordinance to, recommend a motion to recommend approval of ordinance number 1600 zoning map amendment for Foster Grove.
I'll second it.
Mr. Lopez, thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
One nay. Motion carries. Okay, both these ordinances will be considered by the City Council on October 20th at 6:30 in these chambers. Thank you. The next item on our agenda are discussion items. I don't see anything listed. Is there anything that we need to discuss? Patty?
Yes, we have an open position, and the clerk's office has asked me to ask you guys if you have applications possible to fill our position. It would be in December, but they have to get everything going now. So if you guys know anyone, please have them come in and get an application.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Wright?
before our audience leaves, it might be a good opportunity to let them know what that means so that, they have an opportunity to understand that they may have an opportunity to sit on this board as well, so.
You want to expound on that a little more?
What our clerk was indicating is that we have an open position on this board currently, a vacancy. So it's open to any residences that live within the city limits that have been here for 12 months. Is that correct? And it's a volunteer position. We do not get paid, but it's an application that's on the website where you can contact the clerk's office. Specifically, we deal with this type of work. We deal with comprehensive plan amendments. We deal with some approvals for subdivisions and developments, zoning maps, anything that really we're a recommending body, as our staff indicated, that we're in between us and the council. So it's a opportunity. I know, we don't, a lot of times we don't get people to come in unless it's an issue that, people are concerned with, but it is an opportunity that you've taken time to come out and look at that gives you guys an opportunity, if you're interested, to apply and become a member of this board. So.
Thank you. Are there any other discussion items?
I have a discussion item.
Mr. Pollock?
I had some confusion on these items yesterday. I spoke with Ms. Pierre on, I was going back to the comprehensive plan, and on the north side of these properties, in the comprehensive plan, there was a area there that was designated as a joint. What was the term on that, Ms. Pierre?
The transition area, you're talking about the joint planning?
Yeah, it was transition area 1, but it was under.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it was under interlocal agreement between Seminole County and the city of Oviedo, which has since expired, but there's still reference to it in the comprehensive plan. That, I think, at one of our meetings, we need to clean up items such as that in the comprehensive plan, for items or agreements that have expired, so that there's not any confusion in those different areas, because in the actual agreement, it stated that it was only two, in that transition area, there was only 2 dwellings per acre. So I had some confusion on that, because it looked like part of this property had been in that transition area, which you corrected me that it was not. But, going forward, I think that needs to be addressed.
I agree. It does need to be addressed, and that's one of the things that we are looking at addressing. We're in the process now of trying to amend our land development code now. So that is something that we know we need to address. We have been hoping that Seminole County would enter into that JPA with us again, but the talks have been unsuccessful. So we're going to have to get to the point where we just decide to just do away with the language. So yes, we are at that point now.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anything else? Okay, our future meeting dates are October 14th, October 28th, and November 11th. Do we know if we have items for those meetings?
Not at this time.
Okay. If anyone knows that they're going to be out on any of those dates, please let Patty and myself know so that we can make sure that we have a quorum for the meeting. If there's nothing else, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Pollack, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Lopez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned.
Hesitation to adjourn? Really?